Be sure and tell them Large Marge sent ya.
In the 90s, we were just teeny tykes. We rented movies and our bikes. We wanted to be DJs, but we were just teeny gals. So we went off to college and we remained as pals. 20 years later, we're still watching flicks and we're bringing you the feeling bit by bit. Sweetie and Sweetie are here to say it's the Large Marge Santa's podcast. Hey, hey.
Just as I thought. Just a regular old toilet, huh? When did I tell Eddie about this? Eddie and his bonehead ideas.
Hey, you little pisher! I'm talking to you!
Oh, no, what is that?
Hey, you're supposed to give me some pee-pee! Where's that pee-pee? We're talking about pee-pee here! I need that pee-pee!
Oh, no, Mr. Toilet Man!
Listen, I've had it with you. You better give me that pee-pee. Give it to me, or the next time you sit on me, I'm gonna bite off your tushy! Yes! Yes!
Hey guys, welcome to the Large Marge Santa's podcast, your favorite podcast where two sweetie sisters talk about their favorite flicks from childhood. I'm Sweetie.
And I'm Sweetie.
And now, today, we're covering the second in our sequel September month.
We just keep rolling with these. There's just so many sequels, guys. And we're just, I don't know, we're not going to be able to cover all of them, okay?
Nope.
Just like
Don't get
straight
tropes
up
up.
truth. Not going to be able to cover them. But we're going to do the best we can. And really just like, we have a free moment. We're just going to keep doing. Because we actually really enjoy these movies. So it's not like really like pulling our, twisting our arm, if you will. So we're pumped.
And this one is Look
Who's Talking to T-O-O.
I appreciate the, what would you call that? Like a play on sequel numbers? I don't know if that's what you call it, but I always appreciated that. It was like very smart to do that. Look Who's Talking T-O-O, which also
As
in
well.
a way helped me understand how to use the different twos.
Yeah. Two.
It's the two your number, two
I mean,
T-O,
people who learn English,
T-O-O.
like, what a bitch.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
There's three words that sound the same but all mean different things. Like, that's fucking annoying.
Well, they're spelled differently at least. What
No,
about the
I
words
know,
that are
but-
spelled the same but mean different things?
But there's not, like, in the foreign languages that I've taken, and it hasn't been, like, vast knowledge of those languages, but I don't know of any of that in other languages.
right. I don't think so. They always say that English is like the hardest one because of that. So
Yep.
who knows?
Gotta
Anyways,
really learn the rules. But we don't have, like, conjugations and stuff, so that's kind of cool. Or, like...
I forget what that is.
Speaking to someone in a certain tense or whatever that fucking shit is.
Yeah.
Vosotros.
Oh,
Blow me,
Vosotros.
Spanish.
Give me a break. Yeah, it sucks. Anyways, so Look Who's Talking To is the sequel to Look Who's Talking.
Yeah.
Wow. Huh.
Right. Which we did that episode. We did a re-listen. And if you haven't, again, a brilliant time to go back and listen to our first episode. I'm suddenly British.
It's not the first episode.
No, but it was, we filmed it. You
You said that last time too.
recorded it.
Recorded it, sweetie.
The day after the election. So we were all like, oh, everyone's like super sad. Let's talk about babies. And it was a really good episode.
Yeah,
Listen
that
to
was
it
pretty
today. It's awesome. It's fucking funny. Listen to it. And we had talked about in that one how actually Look Who's Talking To, we watched tonight, we actually saw way more. I mean, like 10 times more than we saw the original. So the original is fantastic. Like, it's a great movie, but this is the one that we like literally can recite, know all the lines, no surprises here.
I almost had to tell you to shut up because you were just saying all the lines before they happened. And I was like, I can't
watched
enjoy this.
movie, so I mean, we had this one on video, a bootleg recorded one that good old Ron D did. Oh my god, I watched it like 100 times. I was obsessed. I think partially I was obsessed with it because the baby looked a lot like me as a baby, and like my narcissism gene was like, look at that cute baby, it looks like me.
Okay.
My theory. But it's funny too. And Roseanne.
Yeah, I thought it was hilarious. And even this time, we were laughing very hard. Very hard. I just think that Bruce Willis and Roseanne are just, I mean, they make the movie. Sure, Jimmy and Molly like have funny bits, but I think that the baby commentary is probably the best thing.
And not only like them, but then the other babies in it too that are just like sort of like adults, but they're like characters in their own right.
So good.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, it's so funny to me. I don't know why I find this movie so funny.
I know.
Is
Are
it
we
not funny to other
I
people?
don't know. Are we the only ones?
I'm worried. I'm worried this is one of those things where it's like you just like fell in love with it as a little kid and nothing is going to shake you from being like, this is a horrible film. Because I just looked at some of the IMDb reviews. Stinkers.
Well, yeah, but I feel like, I don't know. I mean, do they get the I don't know.
Yeah.
Sequels are tough. I
Yeah,
feel like
they
they
are.
just automatically have the world against them
Right.
from the start because they're sequels. Like, are they really giving it the attention it deserves? I
Yeah.
thought it was a very sweet movie.
It is sweet, and I also liked the continuation of this story. Like, yes, as we've talked about 100 times with sequels now, hitting the same beats, having the same characters, all this stuff is important for a successful sequel. This one, I was like interested to see like what happened to Molly and James. Like, what, like, are they gonna have another kid? Like, I thought that was like interesting, and also dealing with their marriage and how they were sort of this mismatched couple and how that works for them as like the future goes on. So I thought the story continuation was good.
Perfect. It was very realistic.
Introduced new characters. Stuart. Evil uncle.
Eddie. Yeah, it was great. Mr. Toilet Man. It's great.
So I thought it was successful. So blow me if you don't like this fucking movie.
Yeah.
We're not friends.
Blow me. Whew. Anyways, all right. So let's give him a little reminder of the
simple,
plot.
simple plot, but it'll be good to
Yeah.
chat about it.
Sure.
It's
It's
time
time
for the sweetie synopsis. Yeah, sweeties. I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set on you. Good George Harrison song. If you do not
many
know
good
it.
songs.
Oh yeah. Again, soundtrack. Boom.
Top notch.
I'm gonna download some when I leave this apartment today. I'll tell you
Not
that.
all of them. Mikey will ever be able to pronounce their last name.
Ubriaco.
Really? Mm-hmm. It's a mouthful.
Yep.
They. Mikey is back. He's probably now about.
Mikey's back and he's got a
3.
big little
You'd put
sister.
Mikey at 3.
Yeah. So interesting
Yeah, 'cause
that
they were together a year and a half.
Yeah.
He was about a year
Yeah.
by the time that Jimmy met him. I feel like just about.
So
Maybe
when
a
did?
little less.
But like, so I think at the end of the film they're counting that as when they were like together.
Oh, okay.
So a year and a half from that. At the end of that, how old was he in the end of the first film? Over
was
one. He was
walking,
walking.
yeah,
So
so-
he was like maybe a year and a half in
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
he's 3 now.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 3.
That's what I said. All right. So he's 3. Turns out Molly and Jimmy are still together, and they make a baby.
Oh, they got married too.
They got married, and they have a baby. They have a baby girl named Julie, and she's brought to the family. And Mikey gets to be the big brother, and he's very excited about it at first, and has these like baby fantasies of being like the perfect big brother.
I love the baby fantasies.
They're so good.
I love all the like little fantasies.
Yeah, the
scenes of
daydreams.
this.
Yeah, it's like great. Julie, but I mean, it's like obviously not the same as what he's fantasizing about being this like great big brother. Obviously, little babies need all the attention, so he's a little upset about that. So they have like normal brother sister kind of quibbles and things like that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Jimmy and Molly are kind of having some issues. So
Rough patch.
They are obviously a very passionate couple, which means that they get into these fights that are just blow up fights.
Yeah.
So what the fights are always about.
Well, they clearly have different backgrounds, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you remember from the first one, Jimmy is a cab driver. Really like good heart on that guy, but like sort of a scam artist, and is like, you know, a little rough around the edges, let's say. Molly comes from, you know, a nice home in the suburbs, an accountant, very careful, cautious person, very independent lady, and sort of like, you know, is just they're very, very, very opposite. So they end up getting in all these fights because Jimmy, like she's a CPA and makes really good money. Her mom thinks he's kind of a loser. He's been a cab driver, but he's a aspiring pilot. So he's trying to be a pilot, but it's like really difficult to like get a job or something as a pilot. He's making like $9,000 a year. So her mom, Molly's mom, thinks he's like a bum. So I think that kind of like goes into her head a little bit. But I feel like he is like really makes up some stuff. I feel like she could have given him so much more of a hard time. Okay, I'm on Team Molly here because I just
like,
think
what is
that-
happening?
I just think that like he makes shit up and he's like, well, you think this, and she's never said any of that, and he's just like imagining, because he has this inferiority complex, I think, that gets brought out, and which is like why a lot of the fights. And also I think that because it's not Mikey isn't his actual son. Not that she even thinks for a
she
second
never
that
even
he's
brings
not a
that
good
up.
dad, but I think he thinks a little bit sometimes like, oh, she like thinks she
It just
can.
always seems to be a
control
money
me.
thing. Like I thought that he was gonna say that. Like she says a thing about like, well, like it would matter to you whether or not Mikey goes to gym or whatever. He's like, what do you mean it doesn't matter to me? And I thought she was gonna say because he's not your son, but she doesn't. She says because I'm the one paying for it or whatever.
Right. And at this stage, I mean, Mikey calls him dad. There's no, I mean, the Albert from the first movie is not in his life at all.
God.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's mostly around money, and it's mostly around Molly just like being, the decision maker and not having, wanting to make all the decisions and thinking she knows best, which is like super common. So I think like he just feels like he doesn't matter. And so I do feel bad for James a little bit, but he is like kind of a dick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So at some point, the fight, I guess, what was their biggest fight? Oh, so one day there's a knock at the door. Who should be behind that door but Stuart, which is Molly's brother, who is also an accountant, but has somehow like evolved into a weird like libertarian.
Yeah, I would say libertarian, socialist.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, never met James.
No. Well,
Has he met the baby?
Where was he living before?
I don't know.
He wasn't
Just
in
very
the
strange.
city,
So James has heard all about him, and Stuart is like this, like they just hold up like everybody loves Stuart, even though he's basically like a loser. Like the mom, like the grandmother thinks he's like the shit. Molly thinks he's so awesome, and James meet him and is like, this guy sucks.
Yeah, he totally sucks.
like hate him.
Yeah, so he's like sleeping on their couch. He's just like super annoying. Takes all their shit, drinks all the juice except for one drop, and then puts it back in the fridge. And Sweetie, what else does he do?
It's just Molly's like giving him money all the time to go partying. Like he has a gun. He carries like this tiny little pistol with him, and like he's watching TV on the couch, and James just is like walks into his apartment and he gets a gun pulled on him. Like obviously I would be pissed too. Like what is up with that?
Yeah.
It's small living. 5 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. Like
I know.
ooh.
I thought it was 3, but it's only 2.
That blows. So like James again. So now I'm Team James. I'm flip flopping here.
Well, it's the different issues. Like it's not like everything is one or the other. Like Molly, yes, I agreed with her about the other stuff, but this sucks. Like it's just like it's too small. He's contributing nothing. It's just so annoying.
It's not like he didn't have any other place to stay.
Right, you could have stayed with their parents. Like, it's no big deal. So they get into a fight about that, and Jimmy's like, you have to choose him or me. And she's like, you can't make me choose between you or my family. So that's, like, the biggest fight. And then she tells James to, like, get out. So he leaves. So now they're kind of in a weird separation stage. But life goes on with the babies. Julie learns to walk. It's very exciting, blah, blah, blah. But Molly misses James.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
and they're like super awkward. He like picks up the kid from like the baby gym, and he's just like, "Hey, Molly," like super awkward. Like, whoa, like you were married. Like, fucking figure it out.
Yeah,
But
it's weird.
It's awkward.
It's very
It's real awkward.
And then eventually, or one night, it's pretty stormy out. Stormy Simon. And Molly gets really worried that because James is going to be flying. And she hears on the news it's like a super big, terrible storm.
Well, remember, like they were actually brought together a little bit before because Mikey went pee-pee. Remember, and there was that like hopeful moment that they're gonna get back together, and he's like, "Oh, like awkward again, like gotta go fly the plane." She's like, "I'll cook you want dinner? Like I'll cook you whatever you want." He's like, "Gotta do a flight, like later, Gator." Sad.
Yeah, yeah. So he leaves, and then she's like, "I'm gonna go out to the airport." And like, he can't fly in this, so she leaves the kids alone with Stuart, who's like playing, army something with Mikey with like paper hats and stuff. Just like this will.
It looked like a fun.
It looked like a fun game, but it was a lot of paper everywhere. So then Stuart hears a noise, hears a little ruckus in the bedroom. Turns out a fucking robber comes in the middle of this storm, breaks into the bedroom, and is like looting the jewelry. So Stuart gets his gun out, which is not loaded apparently. And did he ever have bullets for it?
Hope not.
Yeah. So he interrupts the guy, and then the guy like throws the bag of jewels at him and then runs. But that's not good enough for old Stuart. He needs to go and chase him out the window, down the fire escape, and into the street, leaving the 2 children alone in the house Which, by the way, when this all happened, he was busy cooking something on a
Frying
frying pan.
chicken in hot
Frying
oil.
chicken in hot oil.
Left a towel on the burner.
And left a towel on the burner. So, of course, that catches fire, which then falls on the floor and immediately ignites all the newspaper they left lying around. And then...
Unfortunately, they're like the newspaper recycling bin is also in the kitchen. That's bad.
And it was full. They hadn't taken it out in a while. And that goes up in flames and the whole kitchen is just on fire. So Mikey and Julie are like, oh no, like we're stuck. So Mikey like gets Julie out of the apartment. Molly was able to get to talk to James, and then finally the flight got canceled, so he didn't have to go. So they pull up and they see Stuart outside like fighting with this fucking robber, and they're like, what are you doing? Like, where are the kids? And he's like, upstairs. And then they turn around and there's just like flames coming out of the window. It's like a horror situation for any parent. Like, oh, your kid's up there in the burning inferno.
So awful.
So bad. So they freak out, as they should be freaking out, and they like run up there, and then the elevator opens, and out comes little Mikey pushing Julie in her little, what are those things
They're
called?
so happy.
Like little
I
like
know, I forget what those are.
rolly things. Too. And they're like, yay, we made it, and they're so happy, and then everything's good, and so that kind of brings Molly and James back together again, and then Stuart hooks up with Molly's friend, played by Twink Kaplan.
Our girl Twink.
And all is good. Mikey and Julie decide that they gotta stick together. They're brother and sister. Sure, they might like hate each other occasionally, but they're always gonna love each other forever. So it's really sweet. It's a real sweet moment.
Real sweet moment.
And that's the flick.
So adorable.
So sweet.
So, like, obviously, so number one, the kids are fucking adorable in this. Like, they're just, and it's funny because the way they film it, again, I think we said this in the first one, I think they, like, filmed it and then sort of filmed the dialogue with the actors who did. So Bruce Willis, again, reprises his role as Mikey, and then Roseanne is the voice of, it's funny how, like, Roseanne is just, like, Cher now, or always was. Like, Cher, Roseanne, such a cool name. She's the voice of Julie. And so the way they filmed it was that they kind of just like let the kids do whatever, and I think they filled in like the script with like what the kids were doing, because the actors basically like voice exactly what they're saying, and the kids make these like movements, like these adorable movements. I don't know how they did it. It's insane.
Well, I think Mikey was like actually talking.
Right.
In those
so
parts.
that's the weird thing, is that their
he
lips
can talk.
Yeah, their lips like move, so it's like they're kind of talking, but nobody hears them. Mikey does say one line in the whole thing.
He says a couple.
He
He's like,
says,
no penis,
"No penis."
and then mommy, daddy,
Yeah.
that thing,
you're right.
monsters in the beginning. He says a lot. So he can talk, but this is all obviously more internal. But yeah, so the Bruce Willis and Roseanne like go in the studio after and like review the tapes, and I think, is it all improv?
I don't know. Yeah,
It
that's
must
what I
be.
would wonder.
It reminds me of in America's Funniest Home Videos, like
Yeah.
Bob Saget would do voiceovers on like in the videos, so they'd be like, "Oh, here I go, coming down the hill. This is pretty fun," like that thing. Like you do, it's that. So
I like it. Does seem very improv to me, and I think that's why it's so funny.
yes. I mean, it has to be.
Yeah.
It's so hysterical. Like I just love the kid's point of view on thing. Like, so that not only like the literal point of view where they have like a part where they're all the adults are like looking at Julie when she's sitting in her chair, and their faces get really close to her, and then it's also just blurry, like besides other places other than like what's right in front of her, which is just like what kids can actually see at that age. And then the way they create scenarios for like why they're crying, like it's just so great. Like your mom leaves, like, what did I do to deserve this? And she like thinks it's her fault. Like it's genius. It's just great, and like I love that. And so it just takes what the first one did, but really just builds on it, and is just, even if I just think it's funnier, I don't know.
Yeah, because didn't we say? Remember in the first one we said we liked more of like the kids' point of view, and that like wasn't so much done as much. Like they started it like that, but then it kind of like went.
Maybe, yeah. And I think
I'm,
this
like,
because there's
forgetting.
two of them, they can talk to each other. That's
Yeah.
a fun dynamic, and it's just hilarious that like Mikey just wants to be this great big brother, but he just kind of ends up being really mean to her, and she's like, "Why are you so mean to me?"
But which is like, if you have siblings, you really relate to that, because like you do, like, I mean, I basically, had a Mikey situation. I was never like really jealous of Andre, I don't think. But I was so excited to be like a little sister. I was obsessed with Andre. Oh my God. I like could not get enough of her. Not only because I was like, woo, instant best friend.
I'm pretty great.
Yeah. You are. Instant best friend, but also like someone that would basically do whatever I wanted. And I had like a couple little moments where I was just like a kind of bad kid to Andre, and it was only, I don't know, I just like felt like I had to act out. I don't know why I didn't do it. That I have like maybe we should talk to Mom, but I remember like seriously 3 moments where I was like kind of a bad like bratty little older sibling. But other than that, so fun.
3 incidents, go.
Okay, so I cut Andre's bangs one time. I was really interested in like playing hair salon and chopped off Andre's hair.
So I had like really short, teeny little bangs.
She also was recovering from chicken pox, so her face was like scars of chicken pox. We have a cute little picture of it. We'll post it later. I had her bite me one time and then be like, "Mom, Andre bit me," to get her in trouble. That was kind of sad. And then
you told the babysitter that I was not allowed to drink apple juice.
This is your memory.
You told the babysitter I was not allowed to drink apple juice, and apple juice was my favorite drink, and you knew that. Yeah. So that was mean.
So that's mean.
Tied me up to a tree when we played Pilgrims and
Indians.
That was a
game.
And pretended to set on fire.
But I did lock you in the shed for like way too long, so that was maybe not cool.
Yeah, I mean there are a few things, so it happens. Yeah,
but I mean, but like in general, would you say like I did a pretty good job being an older sister?
Of course.
Okay, good.
Duh.
Because I would not say that about my other sister. Let me just tell you. No. I think she didn't like me at all. I think she likes me okay now. Liz, if you're listening.
We love you.
I think we really patched it up, but we had a rough road.
Yeah. Yep. So, and I don't know, I don't remember this happening in the first one, but like, was there swearing in the first one? Like the kids, did Mikey swear? I guess not.
He swore?
In this one.
What does he say?
Roseanne in this one says in the beginning when she first meets Mikey.
Asshole.
Yeah, she goes, "Who's this asshole?"
Yeah, I don't think there were swears in the first one.
I love that line.
Question for you before we move off of the sibling part. Would you want to be an older sister? Like, did you ever like be like have those feelings or wonder what that would be like or anything like that? You're just like pretty content.
I've never had those feelings. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe vaguely I like wanted to be pregnant again, but I was like, I got my own problems. Like I don't want to take care of someone else. I like my life. It's just like
tough. But I will say, like, we were all girls in our family, so we did not have like the big brother craziness that some of my friends have had, where I'm like, do not wish I ever had that. Like, as much as that's very like interesting to me, if I ever have kids, to have like one boy and one girl, I don't think I want anyone to be a big brother to a girl. It just freaks me out.
Why? What did they do?
Because they just get like really like scary with you about like once you start dating and everything, and it's that protective thing. And Mikey like says that like, oh, like I'm gonna protect you, I'm gonna take care of you, and like I mean I have been very protective of Andre in some ways. There's one time we were at a concert and some girl like was stepping all over Andre, and she was getting so mad, and she wasn't drinking, and this girl was like wasted. And remember we were talking about anger and the other. I got so angry with this girl. Oh my God, I don't know. It was like fire in my.
You didn't like
flames.
Punch her. You were just like, hey, can you please stop?
No, I pushed her. I was like, stop doing that. I got so angry. I mean, I was like a tiny bit drunk.
What concert was that?
Katie Tunstall. Yeah. Oh my God, I was so angry. You were just so upset. You weren't that upset, but I was just like annoyed with this girl for wrecking your time.
We were all annoyed. It was an annoying thing.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Anyway.
Silly.
And I once saved Andre from drowning. Last story.
Yes, she did.
I did.
Good times. Life.
Andre wouldn't be here today.
Oh
and I wrote a story in 6th grade about it, and I got an award.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know
I had to
that.
read it in front of the whole school.
Wow.
I know. It was called Almost Drowned.
The Emily Toomis story.
your story.
It's my story. Well, you saved me. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Anyway,
oh boy. Okay.
My little buddy.
So let's just jump right in, I guess. So your favorite part, go.
Okay, so there's this. So like this movie is funny because like as we were talking about the plot, it's like pretty loose, not like a lot to it, right? So it's just kind of like all these little fun scenes of obviously the kids interacting, the parents sort of fighting, milestones with the kids, whether they're walking or using the potty or like whatever. And then so it's just all these little vignettes of things. So my favorite one is when, again, continues the adorableness of John Travolta in this, peak John Travolta adorable stuff. So you're talking about Grease Saturday Night Fever, but grown up with a bank account. So he's responsible and cute, and he's a dad, but he still has his cool moves and can sing and all that stuff. So you fucking love him. So this great scene. So they take Mikey to this baby gym, run by very sketchily Gilbert Gottfried. If you remember that comedian, terrifying. BT Dubs, one of the 3 celebrities I've ever seen in my life, was Gilbert Gottfried, New York City, with 2 white shopping bags across from me at a crosswalk. Fucking weird, okay?
Was he mumbling to himself?
He looked
about
so
how
unhappy.
annoyed he was.
He looked so unhappy. It was he's just this crate. Can you do an impression of him?
Oh, that's just great. Yeah, you just go over there and do that thing. I don't care about that.
Would never own a daycare center. Let's be real. But also the voice of Iago, if you don't know that. That's
he's the worst. He's always
this is very stupid. I don't want to be doing this ever again.
It's so annoying. He's in Problem Child too. I think he's in Problem Child. Yeah. Anyway, so he owns this daycare center called Baby Gym, and Molly is there. And I don't know what is the deal with Baby Gym? You bring them there, but then you have to wait around and watch your kids play in the baby gym. And then pick them up? Is that a thing? I don't know.
I have no idea.
If I'm paying somewhere, you watch my kids. I'm out. I'm going to go get a coffee.
Not like daycare.
So she's waiting for James to come pick Mikey up or just be the parent there so she can go back to work. And James shows up and I guess knows the Gilbert Gottfried guy whose name is Joey. And he's hey, Joey, man, whatever. He's trying to wrangle all the kids into this part where they're all dancing around. So then all of a sudden this Elvis song comes up. And it's all shook up. And I love that song also. And if you remember, Jimmy is a crazy Elvis fan. And he starts doing this dance to get all the kids to follow him. And it's this amazing showpiece for John Travolta showing his old moves. He's so cute. Doing this great sort of lip sync dance to this. I'm all shook up. Yeah. So good. So that's my favorite.
That's a good part. It's such a good part. So it's difficult for me to pinpoint specific parts, but so it is strange how there's these musical numbers without being musical numbers. They're just songs that play, but they end up being a routine or a number. So the one I always loved when I was little was the I enjoy being a girl part, where Molly decides she wants to get James back, so she's gonna dress up and put on makeup and stuff. So they play that song that's when I have a brand new hairdo and my in purse. That song, and then it's just shows Molly trying on various outfits and weird hair bows that she's fond of, and then little Julie is eating the makeup things and putting on little baby shoes. I just loved it. I don't know. I really enjoyed that part. So that was my favorite part. And then in terms of just what I remember most from this movie, so there's 3 things that stuck out to me as being scary to me when I was little. And still watching it, and I was ooh, this is a little scary today. So in the very beginning, Mikey has a nightmare where he's awake, but he looks at his toys and he sees things. So at first he has this little barn and the little creepy window. I think this is why I have a problem with little doors is from this movie, because
little doorophobia.
Those little doors and barns at the top. So that opens, and then these little red eyes light up in it, and then this terrifying little devil puppet comes out and it's and then goes to the teddy bear and possesses it with his finger, and the teddy bear grows these giant claws and teeth, and his eyes turn red. It's scary.
The bear part is really scary.
Well, mostly I was afraid of the little devil guy.
I was scared of the bear part because the bear turns this sweet little bear to this I don't even know how they did that. Morphs into this terrifying horror story bear.
It just reminded me of when you're little, you just your room at night is so scary.
It is.
And that's why you have the nightlight and you have all these things. But like, it just brought me back to like all those times where I would just like stay up all night because I was just like scared of something. Like when I watched The Exorcist for the first time, I stayed up all night because I thought I was going to be possessed. And I was like, he's coming to get me. Like, the devil's coming to get me.
I only have one. So I remember this one like very intensely. So we watched, I feel like Snow White or something, like the old Snow White. I remember like how gross and scary the witch was when she was like, and I like swear like I could see this, like the witch in my room. So I like go into my parents' room and I'm like, oh my God, I'm scared. Like, the witch is going to get me. And they're like, okay. And like, I don't know. I feel like my whole life was like built on like movies and TV where like other families do this and you're like, oh, my family will do that too. So like, what is the protocol if you're scared? Your parents will be like, oh, okay, like come into bed and like sleep with us, right? Okay, our parents did not do that. Nope. So they were like, okay, you can sleep on the ground. So I literally slept on the ground of my parents' bed. And like, remember that rug that they had in that room? That like weird rug with like the soft little pulley things? Not comfortable at all though. And I just like, because I refused to go in my room. Like, thanks a lot, Mom and Dad. I mean, good for them for being like, let's put the foot down.
I would just like to point out that our father slept naked. So like, I think that was probably why. I mean, do you want to call Carol and ask why she didn't let us sleep in her bed? I bet that's what she's going to say. I only remember maybe once doing that. It was when we came back from Pepe's funeral and it was like a really big storm outside. So I was very scared of thunderstorms. So I think I did it there, and I had just seen like a dead person, so it was scary to me. So I remember that, but like mostly when I had like scary things happen to me, I would like stay in my room and just like put the light on and stay up all night. Like I didn't want to involve Mom and Dad. I would just stay in my room.
Good for you.
So, well, sure, but it was a very tiring night when that happened.
Yeah.
So,
I remember a couple nightmares. I mean, I still have random like night terrors now. Yeah. Like I keep seeing a man in my closet. What is up with that?
More than once?
Yes.
Ew.
This is like my ongoing thing.
Is it the same man every time?
Well, it's an old man with a hat on, but like
oh my God, you have to get out.
But I feel like it's like always because I do have like sort of like I'm just like a very big imaginating thinker of horrible like situations, and it like happens to come like right before I go to bed because I'm not really like scared of things, and I like read scary things and it doesn't really like scare me, but I think it like infiltrates my head, right?
God.
So I'm always like I'll hear like weird noises in my closet and I'll be like, oh, like wouldn't that be weird? I live by myself and I'm like, oh, like if someone like broke in here and my closet is kind of deep and big, and like if someone was just hiding out in there and then was gonna jump out like when I turned off all the lights. So I like play this scenario in my head. So of course I'm gonna like think I see that stuff when I go to bed.
The same man with a hat on? That is very suspicious.
He kind of looks like the Jimmy Crack Corn guy.
Oh my God! Please get out! There's a hobo living in your closet, a ghost hobo.
I know, it's fucking weird.
Ugh, that's so upsetting. I'm never sleeping there.
I know. But then I like wake up and like I can't see. I have contacts and like I have the worst vision ever. So like I have no vision when I wake up, and it's dark, and it's also dark. So you make weird shapes. You know, your mind will like make a shape of a person even though it's like clothes and hangers. Anyway, good times, so guys.
So the second scary scene is the Mr. Toilet Man part. So another favorite part that I have is Mikey has this friend at the playground, Eddie, who's voiced by Damon Wayans. And it's just like a hilarious exchange where they're trying to get Mikey to be potty trained, which I'm sure, as we all know, is a very traumatic time in a child's life. Maybe, I don't know. The toilet's like a new scary thing. So he finds out that Eddie like is also potty trained. He's like, oh no, they got you on this potty stuff too. And Eddie's like, yeah, man, you gotta do it. You know, Mr. Toilet Man. And Mikey's like, Mr. Toilet Man, who is that? And Eddie's like, you know, he eats your doo-doo and your pee-pee. And Mikey's just like, what? Like, ew, like, this is not right. And so, of course, Mikey tries to go to the bathroom one night, puts on the light, is like, okay, it's a normal toilet. There's no such thing as Mr. Toilet Man. I knew Eddie was full of it. And then the toilet turns into this terrifying monster thing with 2 giant teeth and these, like, creepy eyes on the top that, like, move back and forth. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize this until tonight, but that's actually voiced by Mel Brooks.
Yeah. His teeth.
And he is, the
that's
teeth are
weird.
scary. And every time he talks, he spits out like disgusting blue toilet water. And
It
I
was
just
really
that
scary.
scene is so scary because he's just yelling. He's like, "You, hey you, like you sit on this toilet, I'm gonna bite your tush off." Like it's terrible. Like no wonder Mikey was terrified of it, but that always scared me. And then the third thing is a little more of a realistic horror, but it's when the robber comes at the end. I just found that and maybe because we got robbed when we lived together. Maybe it brings back bad memories of that time. But that and like so
It's the glass thing
It's
that
the
really
glass
bugs
thing.
me. Okay,
So the
when I was a
robber-
kid, I was
yeah.
like, "Oh my god, that's it! Like we're getting robbed like every day." Is that thing getting the windows? Like why weren't they getting all the
so
windows?
he has this contraption, which I assume maybe is a thing that robbers use. I feel like robbers is the wrong word. What's the normal word you use for someone that's like breaking into a house? Is it robber?
I want to use robbers.
I feel like I associate robbers with like guys that wear like black
Bank robbers?
yeah, like black masks and like black and white striped shirts.
Hamburglar?
With, like
Oh, burglar!
burglar. Okay.
We got burgled.
So he has this thing that he like puts on the window and it cuts out a perfect circle from the glass, and then he can just stick his hand in there and unlock it and open it. And it was just so creepy, and he just like is in there. And the scary thing to me is that there are people home when he's doing this. It's not like you're not there, all the lights are turned off, so they go in and they take stuff. There was a whole family home in the kitchen, like, and he just did
How
it.
hard
and then
up
left.
are you?
And it was a storm.
It's a storm. He's on the fire escape, and like we were talking about how, with the invention of debit cards and how no one has cash anymore. So like there's many scenes in this where like there's cash being thrown about, right? Because people have that all they had was cash. Like they'd cash their paycheck and they'd deposit it, and then they'd go to the bank and be like, okay, give me $200 for the week or whatever. So you'd always have money on you. And I'm sure you had money in your house in like a cookie jar or whatever, because like you needed cash. You always needed cash. So now nobody needs cash. So it's like, what are those burglars
I
doing?
haven't had cash in a long time.
Oh my
they're
God.
stealing your electronics. And
Right,
that's
right.
it.
And they obviously like the electronics were a little bit more bulky back then. So that wasn't like the big
The thing to steal.
hot ticket item.
Right.
But so yeah, in one
was the
out the
scary
other.
part.
But yeah, that was super scary. And I was convinced, like, oh my god, like we're totally getting robbed in our like tiny little house in like suburban East Ham. Like that's it. Telling you, my whole life was
happen.
TV and movies.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is gonna happen.
Pretty
This
much,
is it.
Pretty much. So those were Sweetie's scary scenes. So I think that we should bring back some of our old segments. I feel like we haven't done all of these in a while. But so Sweetie Confusion. The first one that I have is these aren't in order, but so we were talking about the daydreams a bit. So Mikey has daydreams of being like the perfect big brother, et cetera, et cetera. Molly has daydreams of what she's imagining James is up to at this moment. When I was little, I had no idea that that was like a dream. Like that was her imagination. I thought that was actually happening. So I actually really hated James because I was like, he is cheating on her with this dumb ditz in a car with a polka dot dress. And I just could not separate it, even though it made no sense because they were on like a sunny country road and it was snowing in real time New York. So I don't know like why I thought that. But so I was super confused about that. Secondly is when the park scene, Mikey picks up a crack pipe and gives it to Molly as a present. And she gets super.
Well, I'm still
skeeved
unclear, confused what that is.
Okay,
so
so-
she goes, it's hospital garbage.
So they're just like old test tubes that they like throw out. You know how they have like the hazardous waste dumps or whatever. I'm
there
sure it's
wasn't
like
that?
from that. Maybe not, but like it was just like an old test. It's like just a test tube, like you have in science class or in the hospital, whatever. So it was on the ground, and Crackheads was New York. So this is 1990 when like New York was like just starting to get like better, but it was still probably pretty shady. Yeah. So Crackheads would,
Obviously,
like, take
everyone's
those
getting
pipes.
robbed.
Yeah. Crackheads would take those pipes, you put the crack in it, and you light it on the bottom, and you just smoke the smoke out of it from the top.
I'm not familiar with crack. I took Dare, but it's been a long time.
It's in a lot of TV shows today. Orange is the New Black. They had a crack scene, so I know all about it. But yeah, that part I had no clue what that meant when I was little. I was like, "What's a crack pipe?" I was like, "I don't know what."
And that's
crack
also
is.
the same scene that I had a Sweetie Confusion.
Okay.
So the baby, like the Mikey and his friend are like, hey, like, let's go take my sister for a walk. So they try to like steal the baby for a second. They're like, let's take her to the zoo and leave her by the lions. Like just getting all like kind of mean. Anyway, so she's like, little baby's in the Julie is in the carriage, and she's like, oh, of course he would have a friend. And then she goes, they're both schmucks. And I always thought she said they're bull schmucks. So I thought like a bull schmuck was like something. Nope. And there's actually a lot of like little Jewish
Yiddish things,
humor in here.
Well, because the mom, I think they are, because Olympia Dukakis like says a few Yiddish words.
Yeah.
So he's always been a schmuck. She like says that sometimes. So maybe Julie gets it from there. Putz, yes,
There's
he is
Putz.
not a putz. Yeah,
Maybe Heckerling is maybe Jewish too. I mean, she's friends with Mel Brooks.
that's true. That's true. Another confusion is Jimmy makes fun of Stuart, and he's like, well, he is basically Travis Bickle, like over there in the living room, which obviously I did not know who that was when I was little. Now I understand that it's Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver, who does look exactly like Stuart in this movie, so it totally makes sense. So we laughed at that. We finally get it after all these years.
Oh my god, I love just it all comes together.
And and do you have one?
Oh, I want to talk about the weird accountant meeting, which like
okay, yep.
so Molly's still an accountant, and she like works throughout her whole pregnancy, and then she's like super pregnant, and she goes to this meeting. And it's just the most bizarre little side thing. I mean, it's a setup for her going into labor and kind of having her kind of like doing Lamaze breathing,
I
just
think
trying
that
to
the
calm
other
down.
guy in that scenario is like a lawyer.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Yeah. So like she shows up with these two clients, and like it's a bad business loan, and it's like Uncle Ernie made like a bad business decision, and I guess it's maybe his nephew and his wife. I don't know. Anyway, so Molly is the accountant, and this guy wanted to name this restaurant that they like, I don't know, started Eat Me Raw, and they were going to serve sushi and something else, and then raw vegetables. And the woman goes, crudities, which she is trying to say crudité, if you've ever heard that word, French for like raw vegetables. So stuff you like dip into dip, carrots, broccoli, whatever. But that always was like the weirdest scene to me. I was so confused, and that every time I see a word like crudité and any menu, like any fancy restaurant, I don't know, wedding stuff, it's served and stuff, I cannot not say crudities. It's almost like when I was like, I still to this day, when I see the word hors d'oeuvres, like I always say in my mind, hors d'oeuvres.
How is crudité spelled? Like crudities?
Yeah. Crudites. Crudities.
So yeah. I mean,
It's just an ignorant person being like, crudities. But it's so bizarre. So anyway, so then like Molly starts going into labor and is like doing this like crazy Lamaze breathing while these people are like arguing about this bad business loan or whatever. And she's like breathing so hard, like all the papers are going everywhere, and they're like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, this stuff takes hours. Like, don't worry about it." But she's obviously in like severe pain. Oh my god!
And that also, sweetie, confusion on that is that I didn't really get like the problem with the word like "eat me raw" as the restaurant. Like I didn't really get that when I was little. I guess I get it now, but yeah, good times. And then the last one I had is when Mikey's confused because Julie does not have a penis. And he's like, did it fall off? Like, where'd it go? And then so Molly explains to him and talks about girls and boys, and she like gets out a magazine and is like, let's do a little test. Like, so this is a girl, so she has no penis. And I'd just like to point out that she doesn't tell Mikey like what a vagina is.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
no
he's
penis
so young.
or penis.
They're
sure,
not giving him the sex
but
talk,
let's get some like more details in there here. Like it's getting a little technical. It's not technical, I mean. So they like go back and forth. So then they land on George H.W. Bush. And Mikey's like, tough call. And like, I just did not get that when I was little. Like I didn't really know who George Bush was. I know he was president briefly. Well, more than brief. I mean, so I was 86, so one term. But I was little, so like
88 to 92.
Right. So like I had really no concept of who the president was or like what he did. So I really only remember Bill Clinton. So I didn't get the joke. I was like, what is that?
Yeah,
who is
who's
that?
that guy?
Why do we not know if he's a boy or a girl?
I know. I wonder if I did. I don't know when I was like aware of presidents. But I will say like speaking of George Herbert Walker Bush, so all the presidents, did you see, like made their like a fund for the hurricane relief stuff. So I was watching like the football game the other night, and they were all on there. So it's like Jimmy Carter, Herbert Walker Bush, George W. Bush, Clinton, Obama, and they all had like do this little thing. Herbert Walker Bush is so old. He's
I know.
like, in a little wheelchair.
I don't
he
know
barely can speak.
How he's still alive. Like
Fucking Jimmy Carter is like doing like laps around him. Oh my God.
he's the oldest president, right?
He
That's
was like
still
3
alive.
presidents before. Jimmy Carter?
Yeah. I think
Well,
that was a trivia
that's
question.
What's interesting though.
That was a trivia
Like,
question we had one time.
Yes. But Herbert Walker, I think, was like pretty old when he was president, so they're probably like kind of relatively the same age. But Herbert Walker is doing real bad.
Worried about him.
And he just looks so sweet in his little chair. And he could they gave him like one little 2 words to say because he couldn't say a lot.
It's just so funny how like we hated them so. Yeah. So like obviously in this like the joke is that like is he a man, like he like sucks.
But I think that, so I was gonna say that's like obviously a scene now that like really doesn't stand up now, that you would like, you can't do that. You know, I mean, you can do that certainly in magazines with little kids now, but obviously the world is such a different place where we're not necessarily like pointing to someone who looks like classically like a woman and is like no penis or penis. You know what I'm saying?
No. Wait, so
just with how gender is working today and transgendered people, and that's really kind of can be confusing.
I mean, I think you can still, that's still the same thing how it works. Like if you're transgendered and you're like post-op, you have a penis. Like if you're a,
No, but I think,
That
but what
still
if you,
applies.
what if you pointed to someone who was like a more masculine looking woman who
but that's
still
not
identifies
that
as a
wasn't the
woman?
joke with George Bush.
No, but I'm just saying like that. I don't think that really holds up anymore. That you're doing that
yeah,
with
I
kids
guess.
anymore.
Yeah, I'm
just
sure
saying.
that. Yes, I'm sure we need a new way to do that. She was just thinking on the fly. She had a magazine.
No. It's an adorable scene. And
Yeah.
It's very sweet. And like I wonder, like, yeah, that is. I don't remember when I like first knew people had penises or vaginas. I have no idea.
I mean, we
Need
saw
all
our dads
vaginas.
all the time because, again, he didn't wear underwear to bed, and he would
Ever.
weir his bathrobes
Okay,
with
this is
no
making
underwear.
Dad sound like a pedophile. Like, please stop.
Oh, it was just there. We were like, ugh.
I told someone the other day. Like,
Also, dogs. I
was-
saw it on dogs. So
okay,
like,
this
I
other
knew.
like random story. This is just like entirely anecdotes of our family. Good podcast. But I was talking to someone about like dusting or something, and they're like, "Oh, like what would you use to dust?" And I'm like, "Well, like I would just use like an old rag." And then I was like, "Well, like kind of funny story, but like in my house growing up, like our old rags was our dad's old tidy whities." Like as little kids, we'd be like taking the pledge and like doing the dusting of the table, like using like the penis hole like as to put your hand in to like use the rag.
They were like ripped up.
Yes.
They were ripped up though. Wait, what brand were they? Like the blue
Hanes.
stripe? Okay,
No,
Hanes.
it's the white ones.
Yeah, but there was like
The
a
yellow.
blue
I think it was a yellow
strip
stripe.
around the
Blue or
top.
yellow, yeah.
Good times.
But yeah, 80s household.
Those were the days.
Who
The
misses?
pledge. Good times. Whew, okay, so those were all the sweetie confusions we've got. Let's see, what else? What else? Sweetie things we say in everyday life. So the song they sing when they're trying to get Mikey to like be into going to the bathroom is a variation of the song "Come Along and Be My Party Boy," but they change it to "Potty Boy," which is pretty genius.
Wait, I want to sing both the potty songs. Well, let's sing all of the potty song,
It's just two, right?
but then there's just the pee pee and the potty conga line.
I counted that. What's the other?
Okay, the first one is the
Come along and be my potty boy. Come along and be my potty boy. Come along and be my potty boy. And you can potty too.
Yes, you,
My girl likes to potty all the time. Potty all the time.
You got to fight
For your right to potty. Oh, it's good. So, Eddie Murphy's. No. Wait. Is that the song?
No, I don't know what. So
What's the party all the time? Party all. That would be a good one too. Party all the time.
so what is come along and be my potty boy?
It's like an old song from like the.
Come along and be my party boy?
Yeah. I think that's what it is.
And then you gotta fight for your right to party is what Beastie Boys?
Yeah.
Good for them. Really
so-
going
okay.
through the decades.
So
of all the
you're counting
tunes.
that as two songs or one?
Or is it 3?
3.
Come along and be my potty boy. My girl likes to party all the time.
No, they didn't do that one, did they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they did. Okay, so
And
it
then-
was.
yeah,
Oh
it's
wow.
3.
I didn't realize that.
And then when Mikey at the end finally goes potty, they're like, oh, and they like freak out. And they're like, this is the best day of my life since he was born. And then they do like pee-pee in the pate, a pee-pee in the pate. And they like,
Do the conga
Rhoda and Seward is there too. And so all the adults are doing like a conga line like with Mikey.
It's really
so
funny. It's good. And then is there another one or no?
No, that's it.
Oh, why'd you say there were 3? I got confused. 2. Okay.
2 dose.
So those are great. So we like
Deuce.
so we sing those a lot. I think I don't know why. We'll just do it randomly. Another part is when Mikey's like banging his plate and it's really loud, and then they yell at him, and then little Julie's like, "Why'd they do that? He was just working his plate." So like whenever somebody like gets in trouble or one of us yells at someone, we're like, "I'm just working my plate." Like, leave me alone, bitch. Just do my thing. And then the last one I have is, so Mikey, there's kind of another song, is when Mikey's at the baby gym and he sings like, when you have to pee, you jump up and down, but sometimes it doesn't come out. So you try to jump up and down a little more. But I don't have to pee. I don't have to pee. I do have to pee, and I better go right now before, uh-oh. That stuff really sneaks up on you. So good. So I just love the beginning of that song. Like sometimes if I have to go really bad, I'll just like sing that song in my head. I'm like, come out. I don't know. I love it. I love it. I think those were the only main lines. We say credities now occasionally, like in the grocery store for no reason. Yeah, I think that's it. But I did learn some new ones today. So I love the lines when Julie is crying. And our question was, how did they get this little girl to cry like that? Because this is like baby sobbing,
Real
crying.
tears.
And it's like always she'll just like, she has this teeny little like pouty lip thing that she does, which is so adorable. And then she'll just start crying. So one of the ones, she's at the doctor's office, and the doctor, like her mom's doing like the quack quack thing, and she thinks it's very funny. And the doctor comes with this giant needle and then sticks her arm with it. And she goes, "Oh my God." And then she like does this like giant cry, and she's like, "Will this pain ever go away?" And I think I should just I'm just going to say that now. Like whenever I have a headache or like I stub my toe, like I'm just going to say that out loud. I think it's hilarious. But she's the greatest, some of the greatest parts. It's great. I mean, the Bruce Willis obviously is still very hilarious, but I think Roseanne really does a nice job of fitting in to that dynamic.
And I don't know if you remember, so they did like a little teaser for this one. So the original came out in 1989. This came out the year after. So they really did like very like, right after the other sequels. And in the end of the first one, whether they just stuck this on the video or I don't know, but like they do a little teaser of this one, and they have Julie, and it's like the baby, and her name's Julie, so they keep the name and everything. And Mikey, they're like, Mikey, it's your big brother, it's your little sister Julie, and she's voiced by Joan Rivers. So I don't know if initially like she was slated to do it, and then she dropped out, and then like Roseanne had to take over.
Did they
but,
always
like,
have an idea that there would be a sequel? I thought it was only because the first one ended up
you
grossing.
think it was just like, let's just put this little scene at the end.
And then, so it said on the thing for this on Amazon that the first one grossed over like $100 million. I don't know, something ridiculous. Like it was a big hit.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they knew that a sequel was happening
it was really
until that
and
success.
We might have talked about this the first time too, but like, was it the first of its kind that did like a sort of like baby voicing a baby's perspective kind of a thing? Because in the IMDb it said this was like included a slew of baby centric movies that came out in the last like couple years.
Baby Geniuses, Baby Stay Out.
Oh, so it was, well, they listed Baby Boom, which I thought was like interesting because that's like about a baby, but like not.
That was before. That was 1987, wasn't it? Baby Boom? Doesn't count. That shouldn't count. Yeah, that makes sense. But and then there was also a thing, the trivia that said Amy Heckerling like stole this idea from someone. Did you read that? No. I didn't know what it was that they said she stole it from, but who knows? Okay, so what are you looking up?
So one film in a late 1980s Hollywood cycle of baby pictures, quote unquote. The movies include Baby Boom, 87. For Keeps, haven't seen that. Immediate Family, have not seen that. 3 Men and a Baby, 87. She's Having a Baby, 88. Look Who's Talking, 89. With the latter followed early in the 90s with Look Who's Talking 2. So I guess that was like all the baby movies, but those aren't like good babies movies.
They are and are
No,
not.
aren't.
Yeah. No, and I think that this was definitely an important one of its kind. Why is this doing this? Anyway, so should we talk about all the good songs in this, the soundtrack?
Yeah.
We're just going to look
in
at
the
our
soundtrack
phones.
right now.
Okay. I just wanted to quickly. Okay, so the lawsuit.
Party All the Time is a Rick James song. Interesting.
Oh, that Eddie Murphy stole.
Written by Rick James.
Ooh.
Party Doll is the other one.
Okay.
Plays Mr. Postman. The Rebel Yell, Billy Idol. Sea of Love, your favorite. Dedicated to your cat.
Come with me,
Was
my
that something you dedicated to your old
love.
cat?
Yes.
Very
My
fun.
old cat Monkey, because I love the part where it's like, "Do you remember when we met? That's the day I knew you were my pet." See, makes sense. It's obviously meant for a cat, so I don't know what people are thinking. Like, why would you call your lover a pet? I don't know.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. All Shook Up, check. Our Last Minute, check. Catch Us If You Can. I don't know what that one is. Daddy's Coming Home. Written by Bruce Willis and Robert
Oh my
Kraft.
god!
What is that?
Remember he's like remember he like did music. He was like a singer
Man.
briefly.
Maybe you're right. The Glamour Boys. The Glamour Boys.
The Glamour
Boys. Got My Mind Set on You. We said the
a good
awesome
one.
George Harrison songs. Sweet. I Enjoy Being a Girl. Oh yeah, that's a Rodgers and Hammerstein. It's from a musical. It's from West Side Story.
Is it?
Oh my God, Jodie Benson sings that version.
OMG, also
Little
known as
Mermaid?
Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Holy shite.
I Got You, Babe is at the end. Lovely.
Yeah.
Jealous Guy.
So, yeah,
Great.
that's one of our
John-
favorites.
John Lennon doing the solo.
I was dreaming of the past when my heart was beating fast.
I began to lose control.
My favorite song used in this is the Are You Lonesome Tonight song, which is like probably my favorite Elvis song. I just think it's such a beautiful song, and like yes, it's very cheesy in the middle when he like starts talking. He's like, "I wonder if you are lonesome tonight. The curtains are setting,
It's
and
not
I'm standing there."
Your favorite Elvis ballad is
Oh my God.
In the Ghetto.
No. So I love this one. It's, are you lonesome tonight? Do you miss me tonight? It's just beautiful. My favorite part though is when it's like my favorite part is towards the end when it's like, does your heart fill with pain? Shall I come back again?
I always thought it
Tell
was
me,
for some
dear,
reason.
Are you
Does your heart
lonesome?
fill with pain? Shall I call you by name?
Sure, that could
That
work.
fits, it
It
works.
works. You know.
Elvis has some good shit. I'm telling you.
know.
Like, I was Elvis for Halloween last year, so I did
probably
like a
stole
sort of
it
like
all.
getting into character moment, and I did like a whole like week of listening to Elvis like hardcore. Some good stuff right there. Good jams.
Dips. So I said that. So there's a lawsuit. So a lawsuit claimed that Amy Heckerling stole the idea. So a $20 million lawsuit alleged that Heckerling stole the idea from a short story called Special Delivery, a science fiction tale featuring an unborn infant who can talk to his parents. The terms of the eventual settlement weren't disclosed. Okay, that is bullshit. That is not at all what this movie is about. Are you kidding me? That'd be like
They
if
didn't win.
no, I don't. No, I don't think so. Like that is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my life.
You wish,
Get
buddy.
a
That's some
life.
like crackpot in their basement being like, "Ha! They stole my idea."
Yeah, like what? It's just
What
like
an asshole.
a movie about babies that can talk. It's
People
just
are
like
idiots.
come on,
Fuck you, dummies.
bitch.
Dummies.
All right. Anything else? Maybe I think. Oh, I missed this in the Sweetie Confusion, but there was a moment at the end when Twink Kaplan's character puts this like giant Madonna ponytail and hair extension on her hair, and I just did not understand hair extensions. I guess when I was little, because I was like, how did her hair grow so fast? I thought that she was living in that house for like months and months and months growing that hair. And I was so confused about it.
like, wow,
and then
time's really gone by.
and then at the end, her hair is short again.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand it
That whole
at
extension
all.
thing. So
But I
it
get
was
it
funny
now.
watching that character this time around. So Twink Kaplan plays her friend Rhoda, who's kind of like zany and gives her like bad advice and is like whatever. So, but like, so Molly is like the one and like sort of is married and has kids, whatever. And Twink is like the single friend who's like dating all over New York, a la like Sex in the City, basically. And I was like watching those scenes. I was like, oh my God, is that like who I am to like my friends? Where I'm just like, oh my God, I like saw this expression on this guy's face. And I was like, I can't span 60 years with that guy. And I was like, oh no, like, so it like kind of got me depressed.
Yeah, and she's just like very like man crazy
Yeah.
and needs like a relationship, and then
I like
seems to make a lot of bad choices.
Yes. But then ends
With
up
men.
like, I mean, obviously like a match made in heaven, I guess, with Stuart, even though like death, date that
Another bad
fucker.
decision sounds like to me.
Yeah. I mean, it seems fun. You're like, oh, it's my best friend's brother. But like, hard pass.
He's a mess though. It's
Psycho.
fucking Stuart. I can't believe it. Just still so mad that he like chases after that burglar. Like he got
Like,
the
you
stuff
almost
back.
killed our children. I just can't believe they patched that up. I'm sorry.
This relationship is over. Come on.
And they were like pretty calm after that. They're like, whatever.
The
Kids
kids
almost
got
burned
out.
up. Whatever. We made
No
up.
big deal.
Sketchy.
Okay. Anything else? We cover all your notes?
No. Oh, I just have in here. I love their New York City life. Even though it was like still in the tail end of New York being shady, that's like really fun to like be a kid and have kids and whatever in the city.
What's your favorite like little part
So the
that
part
they
I always
show?
remember is her like buying the fruit on the side.
I was
of the
gonna
road.
say. I was
Okay.
gonna say that too.
So as a kid, obviously from being from the burbs, like not, we went to Boston like every once in a while, but it wasn't, you didn't see that like lifestyle that is like the New York City lifestyle. So this is the first one in two, I think. Molly always has a tote bag with her. And if like you've ever been to New York, there's all these fruit salesmen like on the road. This is still a thing. So there's just these guys with fruit. Apples, oranges, bananas, and like that's where you get your like fruit every day. So Molly always has a tote bag with her and stops by and always buys like a couple pieces of fruit, and you pay in cash or whatever. So cool. I want that.
I always think that too.
There's randomly outside of South Station this like fruit seller guy. He's like his thing that like they keep trying to kick him out, but he like refuses to go.
Oh.
So technically I
He's
could
not
buy my
allowed there?
fruit.
There's
like
a guy
that
outside
way.
Back Bay too.
Yeah.
It's
So you
real.
like could, but it's not like in New York where like those guys are like every block. It's really cool.
Yeah, and then Twink just like takes one and pays for it, and then like bites into it immediately. I'm like, you gonna watch that? Like, what's up? But yeah, that, and then the other New Yorker thing is when you see like somebody drop a pair of keys from like a balcony like down into somebody to catch. So I live on the top floor of my apartment building, and if somebody's
We just
here to
did that.
visit me, I'll drop the keys down because I'm not going all the way down there and let your ass in. Like, you're coming in on your own. So yeah, we just did that the other day, and it always reminds me of Look Who's Talking too. So another great little New York thing.
Yeah, it makes me want to live in New York, even though it's like super unaffordable. And
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it with kids, but this was like rent controlled apartment time. I think it was actually a pretty affordable place to live. Mm-hmm. No longer, people, no longer. $3,000 for a studio. No thanks.
Oh, God. Okay. Anything else?
That's it. That's all I got.
Cool. All right. So that's another sequel September number 2.
So good. We might be the only people who like this movie, but like,
But whatever.
snooze, you lose.
Yeah, I don't care.
Get on the
I
Look
think
Who's
it's a great
Talking 2
movie.
train.
I think it's super sweet and hilarious, and fuck y'all. Fuck y'all.
Yeah.
Anywho, thank you for listening. Please follow us on Twitter at the Sweetie Club and on Instagram at Large Marge Sent Us. Thank you, as always, for listening. Bye.
Bye.